she did jump out.
Anyway, yeah, how do we intro this?
I'm Andrew.
I'm Drew.
And we have guests today.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Drew's long old friend from high school.
Well, this one's Drew.
Yeah.
Andrew.
You're Andrew's long lost friend
well, I'm
from
gonna
high
have to
school.
get used to this. Andrew and Drew.
That's the one.
Andrew,
Yes.
I was Andrew's friend in high school, and we're still friends now.
We're still friends.
We're
Yeah.
pretty good friends.
We're pretty good. I'd say considering we see each other like once a year,
Yeah, right?
but things are still great, we're good.
That's
we're good.
dedication right there, right?
That's good stuff. That's a healthy friendship. And we are also with...
And I'm Tommy's friend. Tommy, you didn't say your name.
Yeah, you really did.
Oh my
I was going to say that too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My
Yeah.
name is Tommy.
I'm Tommy's friend Evan.
All right.
Cool.
I know Tommy from Columbus State and other things.
Boy
Dope.
Scouts.
Ooh, Boy Scouts.
Don't get me started.
Oh, we might have to have them back because I've got Boy Scout stories too.
I don't.
But so yeah, we figured since we did the Snyder Cut
Recently.
review video and that was so exhausting and painstaking, and then we saw Godzilla versus King Kong the day after, we figured we'd do another movie one. And these guys were with us when we watched it, so we invited them over.
Marvelous movie.
It was a marvelous movie. For not being a Marvel movie, it was
Not
marvelous.
being a Marvel
What the
movie,
hell?
right?
What? Okay, they liked it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, initial thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, first off, usually when I end off the movie, at the end of the movie, I always like to ask the question, what would you rate it out of 10? And
yeah, that's a good place to start.
for me, I rated it an 8 out of 10.
That's what I was thinking.
My friend here, you rated it.
I rated it 7 out of 10.
And
I was
now
going to say
would
7
like
out of
to,
10 as well.
know your guys'
So I think I'd go 8 now, but I imagine as I rewatch it and I am more nitpicky as time goes on, it'll probably become a 7. But
Right.
right now, I'm at a strong 8.
Right.
Like, I had a good time.
Yeah, we all have the bias that it was the first movie we've seen in theaters.
In a year.
Yeah.
In a private theater. There was nobody else
yes.
but us.
We should
So-
explain that. We were safe about this. We had a cool deal where we rented out a whole theater. We were all spaced out. It was only 20 people. We weren't like as gross as you could be in this world. And
Right.
It was,
threw
and
caution to the
honestly, it
wind.
was better, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
you just
It
a
was
whole
great.
different vibe, and you have your own little miniature group that
Mhm.
just, I don't know. It was
But yeah,
so
I
much
feel
fun.
like that could weigh in on how much we enjoyed the experience. But I'd say the movie overall, I'm with Evan. It's a 7 out of 10. There's some things that are kind of questionable and
Oh,
some
yeah.
oh, there are plenty
some
of things.
things,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was still a joy to watch for
Mhm.
real.
Oh, absolutely. And okay, so like, what would you? We're just gonna go and we'll go in a circle. We'll start with Tommy.
Okay.
What would you say is your favorite thing? And then we'll go through that, and then we'll do a negative thing, and then we'll get more into the nitty gritty.
All right, my favorite thing, just the fight.
Yeah.
The,
Well, which one?
that's true. There was a lot of fight.
Oh, spoilers, of course.
Yeah.
Heavy spoilers.
Oh, happy spoilers.
Yeah, we're not gonna-
We're not mincing words. We're getting right into it.
spoilers ahead. But the fight, which was the final fight.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, actually, no, it had to be the fight before the Mecha Godzilla,
Mhm.
Okay.
just between King Kong,
The Hong Kong fight, we'll call
the
it.
Hong Kong, just that whole fight with them, those two. That was great because there was just so many references from. Not a lot, maybe 3 or 4 references from the old fight movies. I liked how they put that into this fight. So that was my big highlight from the
Okay.
whole movie.
Cool. Evan.
My highlight probably would be they did a better job of managing like the human story compared to like the previous MonsterVerse
Mhm.
movies.
Right.
So it wasn't like dragging when there was like human scenes.
Right.
It would like cut back to monsters immediately. I'm like, this is good.
Mhm, mhm.
It's true.
Okay, for me, I'd say either the first fight with Kong and Godzilla on the aircraft carriers and the
So
battleships,
good.
That's right. That's a good one.
or just the fact that this was like, it was very much a King Kong movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Godzilla really was only in it for the fights, but like we got development and almost like a personal arc from our giant ape character.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed seeing that because, like I had joked last night, we've never had a Kong movie other than Skull Island that doesn't end with him being killed by biplanes. So it's cool to see this guy exploring and finding out more stuff. Like, so I enjoyed most of the Kong stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I would say it's not really a fight scene, but like the escape sequence from Hollow Earth when like all of those like bat things came down from the ceiling
yeah.
and Kong had to like crushed the
ship.
the heave.
The weird
Um,
little Hollow Earth flyer
heave,
transporter.
Yeah, the heave.
You're playing a heave, whatever.
Yeah, but when Godzilla fucking yells into the ground with the atomic beam, it was so good.
And a negative, Tommy.
Yes.
A negative. Definitely just the trio of Godzilla group.
Yeah.
That was such a letdown. That whole group in general was just like heavy focused on like the humor part.
Right.
Which wasn't. I could see what they're trying to do, but they didn't do really well with it.
Yeah.
And they had really no big part into the whole movie really whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're really just there for us to see things
Right.
that we would have to see in order for the rest of the movie to make sense.
Exactly.
And that's really it, except for how they help in like one instance.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is just like we have to know about Mechagodzilla. We have to know like where it is and what's happening, so we see it through their eyes.
Right.
And that's really the only purpose they serve.
Because like I remember just sitting in the theater every time they panned back, like it's King Kong and his group's like, all right, cool, interesting, and then pans back to the Godzilla group. I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
Right. It felt a lot like Finn and Rose and their BCD plot, whatever plot number they were on at that point in 8, where it's like, I'll give it, this had a little bit more to do with the story than that did, but it was still just like, I don't want to watch this. King Kong is outside beating the fuck out of Godzilla right now. Let's pan back to that.
Right.
And then there's just little nitpicky stuff which I'm pretty sure.
Well,
Sure, yeah.
That's the one that stands out to you.
That's
Evan.
I think one part that, I mean, you brought it up last night where it was like how easy Khan was easy to transport.
Right.
Yeah. You know, just like, cause I remember watching like it was like the shot where it was like they're on the islands, like we gotta get him to Antarctica, and then it's like next cut to him just passed out on a boat. Like, right,
like there was nothing in between that. Like there was no paperwork. There was no like
no paperwork.
Manifest.
Yeah.
Like you had to contact, I imagine, the U.S. government or the Navy. You had like, did you have Kong-sized chains prepared? Like. And like, when did you get the collar on him? Like that, he would have had to have been passed out before that. Like, there's a lot of, and like, I like how I put it last night. It's like we have to get Kong to Antarctica. Yeah, okay.
Okay, how?
Like that's all it was. Like he flew. Okay, the other thing I didn't think about last night as well is just our main dude. I don't remember his name. He played Tarzan in Legend. Like our tall guy. Yeah, the Skarsgård. He goes from really lackadaisical nothingness to somehow being very motivated to save the world. And I don't know if I just missed that, but like he got really motivated to save the world really fast. Like I feel like he, like everyone else, was aware that Godzilla attacked, but he didn't give a crap until our scientist guy was like, well, if maybe, possibly, somewhat, potentially, there's something in the center of the world that we could get to maybe help us. He's like, you know what? Damn it. So you son of a bitch, I'm in. Like,
I'm in. Let's do it.
That's all it was.
Yeah, he's like, well, maybe your brother didn't die for nothing.
Yeah,
maybe I should.
Maybe that's right.
I like his character because I feel like when the little girl calls him the coward the first time, I thought, okay, is that going to be our trope? Like he's going to be like our nerdy dipshit guy. But he ended up being, in my opinion, a cool character.
Oh yeah.
He knew his shit. He wasn't obnoxious or annoying, and he was very driven, and that's all good and fine. But I just feel like the driven came out of nowhere, or at least a shadowy area that wasn't conveyed very well. But that would be my negative off the Godzilla trio as well, though, because I like all three of those characters mostly, but they could have been, the
script was just,
they could have been done better.
They could have been better. Yeah.
And I what I said last night was, it's amazing that these two kids and this nut who bathes in bleach were not stopped and everything they did until they were literally standing in Ghidorah's head. Yeah. Nothing got in their way from Florida through the underground space tunnel. They easily
snuck through everything without any problem.
That brings up a question that we had about the Snyder Cut too. Why do these high security facilities not have security cameras?
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that would be required to
well, I was gonna say this if they didn't do it, because they never do it, and all movies across the board was like, well, maybe we can guess their password. If I guess my password 3 times incorrectly on my phone, it locks me out for a minute. And they're just like, I was gonna like, but the fact that they did lock them out in this movie, I was like, well, thank you. Okay, that's good.
They're thinking.
but that door lock that just 1, 2, 3, and that's all they had to do.
We were all triggered by that. Everyone in the theater was triggered.
Ugh. Yeah, the laughter that came through that room at that moment was great. But Drew, your big negative.
Yeah, it's less a negative and more just a disappointment of the scene is the defibrillator scene when they're starting Kong's heart up again.
Mm-hmm.
we didn't get to see our protagonist guy climb down the side of yeah, it's less a negative about the film. It's not like the film did anything wrong. It's just that would have been such a good thing to see. And it's just like he's on top of Kong running as quickly as he can away from the ship that's about to like explode, and then the next shot he's a half a mile away. And it's like we missed some stuff.
Where's the 15 minutes of you having to climb down the side of this giant gorilla's chest hair? Like,
right.
You skipped over a lot of that.
It's so funny. Really funny to see too.
Yeah, but I think even with those negatives, those aren't bad negatives.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, like people, I mean, they get real annoyed and nitpicky and crap about giant monster movies anyway. But like, even as far as giant monster movies go, this was good.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean, you got to compare this to Pacific Rim. It's just like,
and Pacific Rim is still fun.
Yeah, Pacific
like,
Rim is just fun. It's just like, but like this is like on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
A giant monster fight compared to Pacific Rim monster fight.
I don't remember who said it. We had of course, we said we had a larger group, and we had a little bit of a discussion about the movie afterwards. But somebody brought up the fact that they really got the formula of fighting and personal relationships right, where you never felt like you were watching people talk and it's like, I want to see the fight instead. It felt like a decent balance.
There was no cut back and forth between the dialogue of the humans and the fight of the monsters, which I think the first Godzilla had a lot of.
Yes.
It was like there were scenes in the first movie, it was like the Muto and Godzilla at the airport, they were getting ready, and it cuts to news anchors talking about it, and we have CNN footage like, well, why can't we, watch it on our screen?
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. And like I think I said that last night with the first fight between Godzilla and Kong. Kong is still chained up, and they gotta let him out, and they know they have to, but there's no back and forth humans of, we gotta let Kong go. Well, where's the button? It's underwater. Don't worry, I've got it. You watch the kid. It's just like our protagonist is just all business. He knows what he has to do. He does it. We see him do it. But the majority of that scene and that sequence is just those two fighting, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like it was so good, and that shot of being inside the jet as Kong lands on the ship, and then it takes off, but like from inside, but like looking out backwards. That was beautiful. Loved it.
I just found it funny when you grab that one plane with the person already in it. He's like, the guy's
yeah.
like, what the heck, man?
So
he just throws
what he does to the bitchy ladies, space tunnel. That's what I thought he was gonna do to that jet, and I'm just really glad he didn't.
Yeah, because like they're helping you.
Right. It's like I applauded that pilot's calm demeanor in that moment because he's like, crap.
Well, I mean,
I'm here at the
honest,
wrong time.
What else do you do at that moment? It's like
bang on the glass and freak out.
King Kong, what the heck, man?
Yeah, I would have been losing my shit, but he was just like
parachute right off. He's like, well, this is a great day.
About that. That would be the worst place to eject from. The only, all of your ships are destroyed and there's monsters fighting above you.
You're
and you're
landing
just
in the water.
Down.
Yeah, and lasers are coming up back and forth. Like, ooh.
Yeah. I do have to say, that's another really good thing about this film that you kind of brought up with Kong realizing not to crush it.
Yeah.
They gave Kong the intelligence it was super good to see. Like, Godzilla was very much the primal fighting, slashing and everything. And you could actually tell Kong thinking about his fight, thinking about the moves, which is so... It needed to happen, and it did, and it's so sad to say that there are so many movies that doesn't happen, where the thing that needs to happen doesn't. It just, so refreshing.
I don't know how to feel about Godzilla's complete, immediate disregard for people, though, because we've seen him in the first movie, he was going after monsters, and he still deliberately goes out of his way not to take out the aircraft carriers around him. In this movie, we have deliberate, I'm gonna fuck you up.
It's like, I'm gonna kill anybody who's in my way.
Right, and we know when he gets to Hong Kong, he can feel, he can sense the alpha frequency again, so he's pissed, but he's still got to Boston and King of Monsters to fight Ghidorah without destroying everything on his way there. This time he was just so pissed at everything. There's no regard for anybody. It was just, I get that he's being manipulated, and that's totally fine. But the level of manipulated versus the level of sheer anger at everybody just seemed a little uneven. Just a smidgen. Just a smidgen. Because he, granted, as soon as he gets to the aircraft carriers in the first time, they start attacking him, so he retaliates. But that's never mattered in the past.
Right.
He's not affected by missiles, but he's just so angry. And of course, it's convenient as always that the one boat he didn't destroy is the boat that
boat
Kong was
Kong-
on.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean that's gotta happen for the movie though.
Well, of course.
Yeah. It's the main characters. You can't die that
Well,
easily, right?
Yes, indeed.
Another smaller point that I want to bring up because I noticed it and we didn't talk about it. It was super interesting to see the like post King of Monsters world with all of the like Titan threat shelters and stuff. It was
He missed out on that, I think.
I missed out on that.
He
Oh.
was still getting
I was
the
getting
snacks.
I was getting snacks for.
I was trying to tell
Okay.
him as much as you can.
Yeah, he texted me like, "Hey, here's what's."
Yeah, it was
I'm
when
like,
mess
Right.
up. King Kong's in a containment. He's not happy.
No,
There's a little girl.
Yeah, it's just
That was like in the trailer though, so
Right.
that part.
Yeah,
I
that's
knew.
true.
yeah, it was just interesting to see like from a world's perspective to see like they're adapting to these Titans fighting and they have like we had in the 40s and 50s the nuclear shelters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just so like it's always cool to see the world adapt over time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's something that you don't see sometimes. Sometimes it's just everybody's running around in the streets and getting stepped on
Yeah.
and
Right.
evacuating Hong Kong.
Oh my god, that was
where-
so crazy. Oh, we've evacuated Hong
Everyone
Kong.
was
Have you though?
evacuated.
Have you really? Like this entire city is now a playground,
With
and
the short
everything.
amount of time you think you could evacuate that many people in Hong Kong.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And where do you
It
evacuate?
looked like it.
to?
Everybody was like, there were some people that looked like they were just casually eating
Right.
at a restaurant, outdoor
Yeah,
restaurant. It's like, what? We didn't tell them.
I know, and like the fact that there were still people running around when Mechagodzilla comes out, like how is there a first of all, how is anyone alive?
Exactly.
And if you are alive, why are you still in the city
Right.
at this point? Like, because like they start fighting at night, and by the time Mechagodzilla breaks out of that mountain, the sun
daytime.
is rising.
Yeah.
So like you have had time
Yeah, right.
to leave, and you're still here.
Props to those people who still survived in those buildings that were still up too.
If
The one.
if anyone,
the
yeah,
one building,
the
that
one
they-
building. Oh man! Like I was saying this last night as well. In superhero movies, it's become a bit of a trope now. Like it's always conveniently abandoned, or they do evacuate so we can have our fun superhero
Yeah.
destruction without thinking, "Oh my god, how many people are you killing?" But not that I condone the death of people, but for that to not be considered in a giant monster movie, I think it gives
Ooh.
it makes it feel a little more
Right.
real because like. You don't have the time, and the monsters don't care.
It's
So that,
trying
like,
to be realistic here. Like,
right.
There's no
Like
way.
I don't want to watch Hong Kong be completely obliterated in real life, of course, but like
Right.
to watch the two monsters do it and not
okay.
care. Like
Oh.
I mean, like they're destroying things in the fight, and then Kong literally flattens half a building just to relocate his shoulder. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, like even non-violent related things, and like he after the fight he goes and he sits up against one, and that's ruined the foundations.
Yeah.
Like everything they touch is destroyed, and I just love it.
I just love the pointless destruction of Ghidorah just taking Godzilla's head in the Mecha Godzilla and just smash a building, next building, smash that one,
Right.
too.
That's
Third
right,
building,
yeah.
fuck it, that one too.
Yeah. What was cool about that scene as well is like we watched that from within
The big
A building,
we're within like a
Yeah.
briefing room in another building, and we're watching it smash, and then he smashes it into it. Like there was a lot of really cool cinematography
Mhm.
choices in this
Oh, yeah,
movie
for
that I was
sure.
not expecting from our giant monster movie. It's just an added bonus.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, one thing that we watched in I think Corridor's VFX artists react is the importance of having like realistic camera angles,
Mhm.
which we got plenty of. The like down on the ground shooting up, which
Well, that
really
was like a
highlights.
recent one, wasn't it?
Maybe I don't.
Where was one of them recently?
I think
Yeah.
it was. They were talking about Pacific Rim and like or not Pacific Rim.
The
Power
Power
Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah.
I
Um,
saw that
yeah,
We just watched it.
one. Ah,
which is it's just so like because the bad thing with any monster movies, anything with that is trying to get the scale right. And if you don't, it's like I can't remember. I think you said like the sequels to Pacific Rim. I haven't.
Yeah, well,
actually
the
seen
first
them.
Pacific Rim did a lot of that. We see a lot of like on the ground, and we're looking up, and like we get beach scenes from regular people's perspectives, and that's what makes them feel so big. But in the second one, they don't do that as much, and they also don't move as slow like other big things do. So
Yeah.
it's just like they're giant robotic superheroes doing backflips and shit over buildings. Like they got rid of all the stuff that made the first one cool, but like this movie had all that. Like I mean, you could argue Kong was moving a little fast,
Oh, yeah.
off jumping off of buildings and shit.
Godzilla
But I
was
don't
definitely
care.
moving way faster than he has in
Oh,
those
yeah.
other two movies. That's
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. That's the
But I-
fastest he's ever moved.
But I don't know if I care at all. Like I
Right.
loved it so much.
I did like the justification for Mechagodzilla when he like did the leaping jump and the
Yeah,
rockets in his
rockets.
back
Oh,
shot
yeah.
out.
Back.
Oh, that was so cool.
There was
good.
and it his arms longer too.
Yeah, I
Compared
noticed
to
yeah,
that.
his arms were a lot.
I don't know
longer.
how I felt about that at first because I
for a fighting stance, it makes
it
sense.
makes more sense, but it makes him look a little weird.
Yeah,
like
so-
to give him like movable and usable hands, like that makes sense. Because the way he did that skull crawler, it just slices him down the middle. beautiful.
I don't know why, but in my head, the way I pictured Mechagodzilla in this movie was the way the Green Power Rangers Megazord, is like all chunkier kind of looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I pictured it. I don't know why, but that was the picture I had in my mind that I thought it was going to look like.
I kind of was thinking the same thing because the only time I've actually never seen a classic Mechagodzilla, but Mechagodzilla was in Ready Player One.
Yeah, that was the one I
and he was like right, like he was really retro, but he also like worked because it's a modern film and had good special effects. And then when I saw just his face, Mechagodzilla, in the trailer, I thought it was going to be like a really compact, sleek, smooth.
It was really
like,
jaggedy.
Yeah, like it was like really. It was janky almost. Yeah. It was almost just like made purely for
super skinny too.
Yeah, it was. I feel like maybe that makes more sense.
Right.
I guess like it's mostly just for combat. Like every
skeletal.
Almost every aspect had maybe a tactical thing about it.
Mm-hmm, right.
Like there was really no one solid piece to it.
Right.
Which I think maybe in the long run makes sense, and it wouldn't be as heavy. Which you got to think about when you're making robots that big.
And we all kind of like. I don't know how many of you guys thought this, but at least for me, I thought that they were at least going to put like a skin over that, and then like it was going to be revealed later that it was a Mechagodzilla. I don't know how that was going to be implemented to the story, but I thought going into the theater, that's what I thought was that's how they were going to introduce the Mechagodzilla was he was going to have a skin that looked like Godzilla, and then realize it was actually Mecha.
I was not unaware of that theory, but I thought in this world, which is trying to take them a little more seriously, I thought there's no way anyone would pay for that.
Right.
No one would take the time to actually do that. And like, how do you do that? Like,
I don't know.
Like that'd be a lot. But I was aware of those theories, and I wasn't sure, of course, because ever since WandaVision, theorizing is a little more
big disappointment.
Everything is Mephisto, and everything isn't Mephisto, and I try not to do it as much.
Hey, you see that M over there?
Mephisto. It's Mephisto. Like, who do you think is the bad guy in the next Star Wars? Mephisto?
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
I was concerned on, especially watching it early on, how they were going to get Mechagodzilla to be the main antagonist. Because it felt like the Apex people, it felt, evil because it was the bad corporation.
Right.
But it didn't feel like they were going to try and, like, destroy the city or something like that. So the spin of having Ghidorah, like, the consciousness take over, and the cool scene of frying the pilot guy,
right,
was cool.
Well, okay, I just saw this today, and I didn't catch it.
I was telling,
that's Serizawa's son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we talked about that last night,
right?
On PUBG.
They cut a lot apparently.
Yeah, I just heard that today, and that's probably in the long run. That's gonna be my biggest issue with the movie.
Once though, through the whole movie,
they name drop him once, and I caught it like Mechagodzilla, I glitched for a second, like, well, that's familiar, but I didn't put it together at all.
Right.
But that's supposed to be his fucking kid.
Yeah.
And he's just...
They kind of just brushed that aside.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's his kid. Anyways.
He's one of the bad guys. He's running Ghidorah's monster. Like, where did all this come from? And yeah, then he's just dead.
That's it.
Like, hearing about what Warner Brothers might have done to some of this stuff in the background, like they've been doing, that's probably going to be my biggest negative.
Mm-hmm.
But, like... Otherwise, I still enjoyed watching the movie because it's just the monsters at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, the fact that was... Serizawa's sacrifice was so cool in the last one. And he was a highlight of the first one, too.
Right.
So for him to just... His legacy to be absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he was such a huge part in the last two movies.
I guess this would be a good point to transition into the pointless aspects of this film.
Yes.
For example, Mr. Madison's dad being the head of Monarch and having, like, 3 scenes and maybe 4 lines.
Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
Like, he's... I think what I said last night, he's got 3 seconds in the trailer. He's got all of, 10 seconds in the movie? That's an exaggeration, but, like, he doesn't do anything in this movie at all. He's like, honestly, our only returning character other than Madison, I think. Is that correct? We don't get any of the same military guys. We don't get the twins from King of Monsters. We don't get any of our past scientists. No references to past Kong Skull Island characters. He's our only returning character. And he could have easily been, since the taking of Kong to the Hollow Earth was a Monarch-sanctioned mission.
Yeah.
He could have been our middleman that connected our Godzilla group and our Kong group. Because those characters don't meet at all. Like, in one way, it's an interesting choice to have our 2 main missions not interact in any way. But he could have been our bridge between those, and he is nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing that he is another person in Hong Kong to be there for the main fight.
Yeah.
Just, not that he does anything there anyway, but it's just really all of his motivation was getting him to Hong Kong so he could then find his daughter, which he didn't even realize was there in the first place.
Right.
The dude at the convenience store, who I believe is one of the Daily Show correspondents, I think.
He's like a comedian, right?
Yeah, I think he has more lines and honestly more impact on the
More
whole
impact,
movie
yeah.
than the head of Monarch.
Yeah.
Like, that's so strange.
And I think, like, I get what they were trying to do. They're trying to bring old characters back into this movie, but they just didn't do it really well. And even though they brought newer characters for the King Kong side of the group, they did much better on their side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, let's be real, they were heavily focusing on more of King Kong's story.
Yeah,
than they were on
this was a
Godzilla.
Kong movie.
This was basically King Kong too, if you wanted to
very
put it
much.
that
really,
way.
and I have no issues with that.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get right down to it, there's not a whole lot that you can do with Godzilla
Yeah.
story-wise, but they found some really cool things to do with Kong story-wise, and I love it.
Mhm.
And I love all the people on Kong's side.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think the dude is compelling. I love Dr. Andrews. She was a cool scientist lady. I would love more of her.
Their humor
honestly,
was great.
right? Like I'd absolutely watch a prequel of how the hell did
The
you make
10
a
years.
containment unit on Skull Island? Like, how do you deal with that? You know that wasn't easy.
Well, with that whole thing, this movie takes place how long after King of Monsters?
3 years after King of Monsters,
And they made an entire Mecha Godzilla in 3 years. That's a
What was
big...
going on between there while they were...
yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Unless that was like a production that was like, scrapped in the 80s or something, and then they
And then
repicked it up.
they couldn't complete it without Ghidorah's skull or
Yeah.
something.
But it felt like that 3-year time period is definitely not enough time to build something the size of Godzilla to combat Godzilla.
Yeah. It's a quick amount of time.
And not only are you building Mechagodzilla, but you've made a facility that can house skull crawlers.
Mhm.
You've got your own mini Jurassic Park like in the middle of Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and you've done that flawlessly in 3 years, like that. And you've got an underground space tunnel.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
And,
a lot to do.
There's more than just the Mecha Godzilla. There's the whole base,
I
the
know.
traveling to the Hollow World, the
Right.
technology to get the information, the energy from the Hollow World to transport to Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
All that.
There's a lot. There's a
Were they
lot.
working with Tony Stark or something?
Well, not since he died. He died 3
dead.
years ago.
He's dead.
Yeah. So there's plenty of fun nitpicky things, but like there's a lot to enjoy.
Another one I want to talk about before we move on is the head of Apex's daughter being there for one scene
Yeah.
of, we just have to harvest it and we're actually the bad guys, and then just getting crushed.
Yeah.
It was so sudden, it felt like her character was there for nothing.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of cool with.
I'm almost okay with that. I just feel like they didn't know what they were gonna do with her because she comes in and she's like a Sharknado level character
Yeah,
of arrogance. Like, feel free to be impressed. But then as things get serious, she starts acting like a human character.
Right, like normal.
like, yeah, like,
whoa,
as-
this is crazy.
as soon as the
And
ship
monkey just talk?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
monkey
she's
just talk.
she's observing things, and as soon as the ship like flipped over and like Dr. Anderson and the little girl comes out, I don't know her name, our bitchy lady, she comes and she helps the kid up.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
she's and in a movie like Transformers, that character is like, oh no, my nails, my hair, I'm
Right,
all
right.
wet. Like, but she's not like that. She's like. She's our weird cliche arrogant character, but then she's just a regular human character.
Mhm.
And then when they dive into the Hollow World, she's amazed and she's just
Right,
in awe. Like
right.
everybody's like, "Wow, the world's bigger than me. Maybe I shouldn't be such a little shit sometimes." But then no,
We're like, here's a vomit bag. You might need it.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
I really thought in the scene where like they positioned his chair directly in front of hers, I really thought it was gonna be like, "Wow."
I thought they were gonna do
You
something.
can hear it in the background, but like yeah, they seemed like maybe they were making her
Like,
slightly more compelling.
her character might change throughout
Yeah.
the movie, but it snapped right back to her becoming a villain. Nothing changed.
And Kong was there to fix it.
Yeah, just real quick. Like, I mean, at the beginning, we all knew the instant we saw her, we're like, she's gonna die. We know
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And then later on, we're like, well, maybe not. She's kind of getting a different development, And then later on, it's like, okay, yeah, she's gonna die. But then it was just like right there. The second she turned bad again is the second she
Just
died.
crushed,
yeah. On the flip side of that, though, I really enjoyed some of the dialogue between Dr. Anders and the kid
Oh yeah.
because
Yes.
they were setting up many moments of, well, just lie to the kid. Just lie to Kong to get what's gonna. And she could have easily just told the little girl anything. but she was honest with her throughout the whole movie. She wasn't like, yeah, tell him that there are more of him down there. It's like are there? Like, I don't know, maybe, but it's worth exploring. And she's like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, there's so often, and it very often sets up in movies that, like, halfway through conflict, what, you lied to me? How dare you? There wasn't any of that.
That's another thing I was thinking in my head when they were saying, tell him there might be family of his down there. And I thought they were going to, like, try to make the telegirl say, there's family down there, not there might be family down there.
Yes. And then she was honest with Kong as well. She was
honest with Kong, too, yeah. She's like, are you sure there's family? And then she's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
and then she's like, okay, well, I'll tell that to King Kong. We don't know, but there might be possibly family. Instead of saying, yeah, your family's down there. Go on.
That could have been shitty.
That could have gone downhill real quick.
Yeah.
But
it did go down.
It went down. It went way down. Okay, how do we feel about the fact that the portal to the Hollow Earth is like
neon and stuff?
Wormhole-ish? Like, I thought it was supposed to be just a long tunnel, like the one Godzilla makes, but like the way they travel through it, it's otherworldly, like, dimensional.
Because they're going how fast within a certain within 2 seconds or 5 seconds they're going 200,000 miles or something. I don't know.
And there's that like vacuum in the middle where they went in between the two like bubble stretchy things.
Yeah.
Like that was an interesting choice. Like that's really the only thing in this whole movie that made me feel like this doesn't belong in this kind of movie. This is something out of Star Trek.
Right.
I was impressed with like the gravity situation, like in the Hollow Earth, how it's like half and half.
Flying monkey.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Monkey.
That was cool. I really thought the scene where the creepy bird things were. I thought they were gonna do like a swoop. Yeah, and they were gonna fly into the other gravity. But like,
that would have been a great
right. That would have been neat. But I enjoyed all the Hollow Earth stuff. I just was really hoping we would have got a clearer shot at what was making the light.
Right.
But we never saw what was providing the light source.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in, like, Journey to the Center of the Earth and other underworld things, it's like, there's a convenient flow of lava that creates light or whatever. But we didn't see
It was like
anything.
a sunset the whole time.
Yeah, it was like, so, like, that's the thing. In this world, there can't be night, can there? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Right. It's got to be daytime all the time. Because your sky is literally the other ground.
Yeah.
So your light source is coming from a horizontal side anyway.
Yeah. It would be cool if they framed it like the core of the Earth being an iron ball so super hot that it acts as a sun in the center or something, but we didn't see any of that. So.
Right. And that's something CinemaSins will point out. It's like they can't be that far into the crust without
CinemaSins makes everyone change their point of view of movies.
Right.
Now.
Of course.
I will admit they affected the way I see movies.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Absolutely. we said this about the Snyder Cut. Like, I mean, many people just want to watch the movies and enjoy it, and people like us ruin it. But like at this point, I can't just turn my brain off and watch the movie.
It's just something that just happened because we've just been so into CinemaSins that it's changed our perspective of movies now.
And that and like Corridor Crew for sure. Like there were many things I did not notice.
For sure.
And then I watched them, and I'm like, the pores didn't stretch. Those pores didn't stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but they do make so many good points that you don't actually think of until you say it.
But like that's why I like getting into the nitty gritty details of it. Right. I want to know what's providing the light source in our Hollow Earth monster world. Is that too much to ask?
On that, with the Hollow Earth stuff, we see like the Kong sculptures and things.
Yeah,
I want to see, even if it's just like a flashback or like a simulation or whatever, a clip of those being created, like a society of the Kong monsters that are advanced enough to sculpt out of the walls or whatever.
Those stairs were big.
Yeah.
They were huge.
Like, those were big stairs.
There's a lot of tunnels, too. Doors. Where do those lead to?
Right.
What was I was wondering if he... Honestly, okay, so I didn't know if there was going to be more of his kind. Like, none of us did. So I thought the second he walked in there and he did a scream, they were all going to come out through all the doors, just like an army. And then he's like the new king when he picks up the axe or something like that. And, Godzilla does the beam, and then he's like, all right, you guys stay here. I'm gonna finish this guy right here and come right back and be the king again.
Yeah.
Okay, now, let me know if I'm just being a nut with this.
Yeah.
But, but our Sarsgaard guy says to Dr. Andrews, you've always described Skull Island as being the Hollow Earth brought to the surface. And Kong and Kong's family seems to have been very isolated to that chunk. Wouldn't there have been a tunnel to the Hollow Earth on Skull Island?
Possibly.
that they could have accessed maybe easier than going to Antarctica?
I mean, there's the storm, and then also that's where like all the skull crawlers are too.
Well,
Yeah,
that's fair.
it could be less like that. May have been easier, yes, but because it wasn't discovered yet, the one they knew about was in Antarctica, so it was the quickest one to get to
I suppose.
without going through the island and trying to find.
Yeah, I do also like on that mission the detailed dialogue of saying like our Dr. Andrews specifically avoided all of Godzilla's territory. I thought that was a good detail just to be aware of, because otherwise it's like, well, then why are you out here on the water?
That's another thing. All of the tunnels would be low enough that they would be underwater. In Antarctica, all of it's frozen, so it would have been a straight shot down.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
I have a question for the. Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
So I think they brought up like tunnels in the King of Monsters too, because like that's where.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was,
Yeah.
That could have been not a tease, but setting up.
Yeah.
So we did do a little talk about this, but I want to hear like, what do you guys think? Well, what's one thing you wanted to see more of, or expected or something like that?
One thing that I don't know if I wanted to see more of, or if it was more like a thought they were gonna go with, and I was glad they didn't. But when they first showed Hollow Earth and the way that it was, I thought that was going to be a battleground between Kong and Godzilla because it was wide and open, and it would be
no
interesting.
Hong Kong to destroy,
nothing to destroy. It would have been like, in my mind as a scientist, it would have been, let's see if we can get Godzilla down here so they can fight and not destroy anything.
And in the original movie, like in the old King Kong versus Godzilla, they weren't really fighting in the city. There was moments towards the end where they fought close to a town, but it wasn't in a huge city. It was actually in the canyons and whatever, like in the big mountains, whatever. They never fought in the city.
Yeah,
which it would have been cool. There were some shots that could have been really cool, like Kong being... Or one of them being punched to the other side, and then they fight through different gravity, like throwing shit and atomic laser like back and forth, standing on the ceiling. Could have been really cool to see.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
But at the same time, I want to see Godzilla's head being pushed through buildings.
right.
So,
right.
I think if we did like a minor fight there, it would have been cool.
Right.
Or like you said, maybe there were other Kongs. If there were other, maybe smaller Godzillas that were there that Kong had to fight through to get to the axis.
That would have been
that'd be like, kaiju monster war right there.
Yeah, for real.
For me, what I was hoping for that we didn't get, I had heard or I had read, or one of my siblings had said something and I incorrectly assumed they knew what they were talking about. I had heard somewhere that Godzilla was so pissed at Kong as the other potential alpha titan, and in Kong's existence, some of Godzilla's monsters had started to go over to his side, and we were going to have either moments of or flashes of, or maybe even a sequence of a Godzilla King Kong equivalent Iron Man Captain America Civil War, like Behemoth, Methuselah, Scylla, Rodan, and Mothra's new Mothra all would have had sides, and they were going to be like going at each other, and that was going to be a problem. And because it was also, I saw in trailer breakdowns, there were spots that were marked on maps that people were assuming that's places that Godzilla was attacking, one of which was in Brazil, and that's where Behemoth is. So what we thought was like maybe he was going out and taking out the ones that were no longer following him, and we didn't get any of that. Godzilla attacks one place and the world is like, well, fuck him. You saved the world twice, well, you only get one strike, man. We're done. Absolutely done. Like, I mean, I was honestly surprised. I wasn't entirely surprised we didn't get a full-on Titan versus Titan army fight, but I was surprised we didn't get any reference to the other Titans beyond old footage, news footage, or name drops. We didn't see anything of a classic or newish but returning monster, like only the skull crawlers. Like, we didn't even see any of the other monsters or creatures from Skull Island, like the weird elks or the mother long legs. Nothing. Like, I mean, if anything, it shows a lot of restraint, but I feel like we could have seen Rodan or Mothra or someone, or I don't know, maybe I don't know how monsters work, but I was expecting, since this is the monster equivalent, really, of a superhero shared universe, that other returning superhero characters would have been somewhere in the background at some point.
Yeah, the only thing we got was that honestly confusing graphic of like
Who's beaten who?
The Incredibles, who's eliminated who kind of thing.
And then our podcast guy, he had podcast episode names, one of which was about Mothra, and I imagine others were about other monsters. I didn't see them all.
Yeah.
But that's all we got as far as references to our other creatures.
To that, I wanted to talk about this. It showed like it was almost like a bracket. Like a competitive bracket of monsters being
fantasy
defeated.
football kind of thing or whatever. I don't know
and
how that works
it
either.
seemed even that like Kong had defeated the same amount of monsters that Godzilla did, and they were the only two left.
But that's not accurate.
No, because as far as we've been led to believe, after Kong has been just in containment since forever.
And we've only seen him fight a couple of monsters, not quite on Titan level.
Right.
The skull crawlers and the Meyer squid thing. Those aren't Titans, as far as I know. We've not been led to believe that those are Titans. So Godzilla's taken out the Muto, and the thing we talked about last night is in that bracket, it shows Rodan as one of the monsters that Godzilla defeated.
Yeah,
he's like the only one that Godzilla didn't fight in the last movie.
They
So
looked like they were about to fight, but instead he bowed to him because he was the new
so
king.
in the last 3 years, did he go and kill Rodan? Because it didn't look like that was something necessary that he had to do at the end of the movie.
Right.
So going off what you said, that opening was really just confusing.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the size comparison of how much King Kong grew.
I can't
Because,
tell.
Like right when he was on the boat, right? He didn't look like anywhere near Godzilla's size when he was on that boat. But the second they fought, they were equal size.
Yeah.
But it was just weird look.
He picks up a helicopter in the 2017 Skull Island.
Right, yeah.
But then he also picks up a jet, and
Which he looked like about the same size.
Right. And then he holds Brie Larson in his hand, and then he's putting he puts his finger up to the little girl. And I was like, just barely you can tell that he's bigger.
Yeah.
But like I think when they say he's bigger, it's more like out. He got bulkier.
He definitely got the facial hair though.
Right.
Nice.
That
nice
part though,
hair.
where he stands or he walks into the water in Skull Island, or when he stands and he's looking down at Brie Larson's character, he doesn't look all that bigger than that.
He doesn't.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, did he actually grow or?
I can't
tell. It was hard to tell. But going back to the question of what you expected or what you wanted more of, Evan, what do you? Do you need more time to think?
I need more time to think.
Okay,
We'll come back. We got plenty to say, I'm sure. So something funny. I just want everyone else's thoughts. Antarctica. And we see the little girl.
Yep.
She's just wearing a coat. She's fine.
Oh, yeah.
And our massive furry beast starts to shiver. Is that accurate? Do you think he could have lasted longer before he started getting cold?
I mean, he was wet too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Wet and also like heavily sedated still coming out of that, which can mess with some things.
He wakes up and sees the snow, and he's like, "Huh."
What is
this little curiosity? I love that.
At that point, he was dropped and like not only wet but covered in snow. Like he rolled around to get up. So
okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. How do we feel about their flight suits that look like borderline superhero costumes?
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
I looked because I saw that when the little girl was there, and I see him in the back, and I was like, "Is that a different suit he's wearing? Is that?" It kind of looked like they were, about to time travel like the Avengers did, or something like that. It was like, is the suit necessary though? Were they being exposed? They never mentioned that they were going to be exposed by certain kind of air or oxygen.
Right.
It was just
but
the going down to Hollow Earth that
maybe that
flight suits.
the kid
Flight
didn't have
suits
one
too.
though.
The kid didn't get one.
Yeah, the kid wasn't wearing one. That's true.
Kid's fine.
It'll heal.
Can we just say it for a second?
12 years and under. They're good.
I loved her character. Like I don't remember her name. She doesn't say a word, and she's easily one of my favorite child characters in movies across the board.
Oh yeah.
Because so often they're just so obnoxious, and she's just so sweet, and she gave a great performance for not talking as well. Like a lot like the little girl in Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that. I don't know if this girl in Kong versus Godzilla, if she's actually deaf.
Yeah, she's actually deaf.
She is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So what was the I'm pretty sure I might have missed it, but what is the relationship between her and the woman?
She was there studying,
right.
And then the
Kong
hurricane
rescued the girl, and then the doctor found the girl
the little girl was orphaned, and Andrews just said that she was going to take care of the girl and I don't know, raise her.
And I guess she was helping raise, but I have to imagine that is American Sign Language, right? Because home is the same. So she must have taught to the girl sign language, and then the girl in secret taught sign language to Kong.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is amazing.
So was she an orphanage from the island, or
She's from the island. She's from the what is it? The Iwi, the
tribal,
something like that.
Yeah, the people from Skull Island. She's a member of that society.
Okay.
And she's, I guess, at this point, she's the only one now. Which
last one left
because the hurricane wiped them all out.
Yeah.
And I liked a friend of ours last night said that maybe the hurricane wiped out the island because of Ghidorah's influence on storms all over the world 3 years ago. I love that explanation.
Yeah.
That's really cool because they were always surrounded by storms, and that's what kept the Skull Island secret for so long. But for Ghidorah to do that, intentionally or unintentionally, that's dope.
Cool.
That is dope. It's very smart idea or thought. But there was something that I kind of wanted also.
Yes.
And
we've been getting off track.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Back to you.
No, you're good.
Like, it's on brand for our.
It brings it to it because we're still talking about things that we've never really heard or know the answers to. Like for example, how the weather could be the effect of the island being destroyed, and all these other stuff. But for me, I want to know what the origin is between King Kong and Godzilla, because there was a past, kind of like the Snyder Cut. There was a history between the Mother Box and Darkseid and everyone of Earth defending Earth. Mm-hmm. It's like, what was their beef back then?
Yeah, what caused the beef?
They did say there was a beef long ago between his kind and Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. And all we get are just the cave paintings.
The cave paintings and whispers and a constant reminder like, oh yeah,
I thought maybe they find a story or something like that or figure out and then kind of have a little flashback just like we did with the Snyder Cut with
that would have been cool.
But it won't be that long ago.
I feel like that would have been a great time for, I don't remember their names, but our twin scientists from King of Monsters who are like references to the Mothra fairy ladies in the classic movies. Because that's what she was doing in King of Monsters, was finding all the pieces and putting it together.
She apparently was cut from this one, I think.
I heard that too, which I'm not real jazzed about, because I love her character. But if she had spent the last 3 years exploring, name it, at this point, and she had that explanation, that story, I don't think that would have hurt the movie at all.
Yeah, right. I would rather have that than what we had with the trio.
Right.
Oh, God, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep going back at that trio.
I mean, honestly, that's going to be the biggest issue with the whole movie.
They could have done so much other things that had great potential than just whatever story side they had.
Right, yeah. The true issue with it is it was fine and it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Right.
And
he did not need to be as ridiculous and wacky as he was. I don't know if Millie Bobby Brown's character had to be as unrelentlessly confident in her ability to do everything. And then what's Jacob character? Josh. His that character, he's fine. But like I said last night, he only exists to point out the ridiculousness. Mm-hmm. But you don't get a pass movie for pointing out your own flaws with a character. Like, you still did those flaws. But he was still hilarious. Right. But it was still the fact that they got all the way to Ghidorah's brain. They went from Florida through the space tunnel next to the skull crawlers in Mechagodzilla's testing room, survived a skull crawler potential attack, and then still somehow got to Ghidorah's brain. And no one saw them up until then. Where are the security cameras?
Yeah, to that point in the Mechagodzilla thing, that the creature saw them and was going straight for them, standing in the middle of this well-lit area. And Mechagodzilla grabs it, and he didn't see.
It's like the skull crawler was not going after the mecha; it was going after something else. And the mecha's just like, "Oh, he's distracted. I'm gonna grab him." He's like, "Why do you think he wasn't looking at you? You think you'd be the first thing that he'd come after, but why was he?"
Yeah, and who? There's so many problems here. Who overlooked that there's an open hatch in the testing chamber that they were able to crawl into?
Yeah.
That it's somebody's job to close that, and that guy needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Because that was just a full-on overlook, which it seems like all of Apex.
I don't think
it's kind of over.
Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Apex, if you have stock in Apex, you're broke.
Yeah, it's done.
But yeah, there's just the fact that not only did those characters be so successful, but none of them died.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because not only that dude, I don't remember his name, our crazy podcast guy, he survived. Bernie survived 2 very close proximity laser blasts.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
wasn't there another one because it was the first one in Florida, but then wasn't there another one in something that Mechagodzilla did that they just barely ducked away from or something.
Just him like grabbing.
Okay,
Yeah, it
he's
wasn't a
swiped.
laser. It was
He's
a
still like the things that these characters survived. It's amazing.
Right.
But like again, whatever. You fast forward through them.
Yeah, those characters could have been better, but they also could have been worse.
That is a good
That's
point.
true.
That is a
true.
good
We didn't bring
point.
that up. That is
They could have been much worse. You
So
know what?
true.
I'm gonna stop complaining.
at the very
because
least, it was confusing. It didn't feel right, but at the very least, it was entertaining.
horrible.
It was
Yeah.
interesting to watch.
Mhm.
Speaking of the whole test area for the
Yes.
Mechagodzilla, and I get it when he finally lost control and broke out of the place.
Yeah.
We saw all those eggs. The skull
Yeah.
pods. Are there
They're-
still surviving eggs out there? Are they just out running around?
That would be something cool to address if we ever get a future movie, which
Right.
it was
I
again
hope so.
something I don't think we've said, but we said last night. This movie didn't set up a sequel
It
at
didn't.
all.
Yeah.
Like not even a little bit. And if you get right down to it, King of Monsters only set up this movie with its credits.
Mhm.
Yes.
But this didn't do a thing.
Right.
But going back to that, I have no idea.
For me, it felt like
Did
the
those eggs
eggs.
survive?
Who knows?
Yeah, for me, it felt like the eggs were synthetic. It felt like they were homegrown in the other Apex facility.
Because that one Skullcrawler looked different from the ones
It
on
did.
Very much.
It did.
Skull
Yeah.
Island.
And
Yeah.
they had more from the transportation that they transported to.
Yeah.
Because that was only one of the ships that they transported the eggs.
So they were like growing them in Florida,
Yeah.
transporting them to Hong Kong
Right.
just to kill them.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
was the eye that Bernie saw in the first attack?
Yeah.
What happened to that? Was that like an extra
I
one,
guess
or did
they-
they
that
ship
is
it to
true.
I
Hong
guess they
Kong?
hadn't finished it yet. I
Hmm.
guess they were still, but
That's-
they were testing it too.
Yeah, that's very convenient timing to have the eyeball be the last piece, maybe.
Maybe they had.
How did he knew that was an eyeball, too?
What?
How did he knew that
Did he
was
say
an
it was an eye?
Yeah, he did.
He said
Yeah.
it was an eye.
Because when he brought the
Yeah.
kids back, he's like, there was an eye there. Like a giant eye, I swear. And the kids were like, a what?
Oh, that's dumb.
Right.
Yeah, he
That-
said...
I thought that was a power core
Yeah.
or something, or the brain. Like now,
He said...
I did not think it was an
Because
eye.
I heard him, he was like, there was an eye here. I'm like,
Yeah.
how did you know that was an eye, though?
Another confusing point here is why did Godzilla attack the eye when there's no way they could have transported the rest of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so it was
he should have
just-
gone to Hong Kong first.
Didn't they say that? I think.
well,
they
the
might
eye
have
was
said it,
generating.
the alpha
the
signal.
okay,
some reason.
okay.
I think they said that, or it might be
What?
deleted
Yeah.
scene or something.
What
Yeah.
makes me think if we want to get nerdy about it and close
If
our
we
own
wanna get
if we want
nerdy
to
about
get
it.
nerdy about it and close our own plot holes, maybe this eye was like an upgrade. Like they had an existing face, but they've made it and they
That's
made
fair.
a better new one. Because I imagine if they have been testing him for a while, he had eyes, but
Mhm.
this is a better eye.
I think an interesting thing, another going back to your stuff we wish we would have seen,
Right.
is we saw Mechagodzilla's eye and all of the colors flash from the red to white.
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see that the transition of maybe when it was in control by the guy's son, all of the glowing is white.
That would have been cool.
And then when it gets transferred over, it flickers to red,
Ooh.
which is our
Oh.
classic blue.
that would have been a really
That
good
would be
touch.
good.
I would have loved that because that would have been a really that. I love it so much I can't talk. That would have been a cool callback to the first Godzilla movie because he doesn't glow blue until the end of the
yeah.
movie.
True.
So for him to be all white and tawny and then it glitches and he starts from the tail up,
It just
he turns
red.
red, and,
Yeah.
from the tip of the tail all the way up to the
Mm.
eyes. That would have been amazing. People, Warner Brothers, take notes.
Take notes.
Take
Take
notes.
notes.
Take notes.
Listen to our podcast.
We have 4 subscribers, one of which is me.
I'm one of them. There's 4 people here.
Let's be real.
So we're clearly qualified to be telling them what to do.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen funny
We
movies.
watch movies.
We watch movies.
That's more than you guys can say.
Oh shit! No, but seriously, sign us up.
Yeah, hey, we're not doing anything. We got the free time. Pandemic rules.
So Andrew, you said you haven't really watched the old fight.
I've not.
Have you?
I've seen just a couple of the classics here or there, but I've not seen the classic fight between Godzilla and
Well,
King Kong.
You're not missing much. Let me just tell you. But
Okay.
there were some really nice references from the old movie. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, so in the old one, they decide to give King Kong electric power.
Okay.
So, because what happened was Godzilla knocked King Kong down. It looked like King Kong was losing in the old film. And then there was a storm going on, and all of a sudden the lightning struck down on King Kong and woke him back up. Reference from the new movie with the lightning in the chest, which my friend mentioned to us last night. Shout out to my friend Tyler, who mentioned
right on, Tyler.
So I thought that was really interesting because
That was good. I
that's
love that.
a reference from the old movie when the lightning strikes him, wakes him back up from his coma. Another thing, when he got struck by the lightning, he had electric power. Now, he didn't technically have an electric power in this movie, but the axe, I feel like, was sort of a
serves as an external energy ability,
right, and an
which is cool.
energy that he takes from the axe. So there's that too. There was another scene from the old movie where it was very iconic, where King Kong grabbed a giant tree, and when Godzilla was about to blast, he shoved it right down his throat.
And he did the same thing.
He did the same thing in the movie, but with an axe. So I loved how they referenced the fight scenes from the old movies into this new movie.
Hell yeah!
That was another thing the movie did good with, like sound mixing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like him like charging up and then it getting interrupted by the axe.
Yeah.
So it's like.
But yeah, so that I noticed those things, and that was really cool. And then the fact that Godzilla did a lot of his beams. Then more beams that he's ever done in the past 2 movies he's done was really cool to see too.
Yeah,
like,
I love it was chilling that Mechagodzilla tried to do what Godzilla did to the first Muto. Like he tried to pull him. He was gonna laser down.
Yeah, he was trying to do that.
Damn, you weren't holding back for a single second.
There was a bit of confusion that I had with Mechagodzilla, and like the hand spinning turning into like a Tesla coil for some punches. I was a little confused on that. I understand they weaponized all of Mechagodzilla, but it just feels weird that like they have for Mechagodzilla they have the laser, which is a red beam, and then everything else they have are practical weapons, missiles and bullets and stuff. And then they have this like spinning energy hand punchy thing.
Right.
It just didn't feel like it fit with the rest of like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about his tail being a drill.
Like scorpion tail.
Yeah. I don't know how I felt about that. I didn't have an issue with the shocky hands, but like
the whole jet on the back, and I think there was some on his arm, kind of reminded me of Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
when they first
arm,
launched the jet from the elbow and they punched it.
It also made me think though of classic Godzilla, because in the classic Godzilla can fly by just turning around and just shooting his atomic breath out. So the fact that he flies it looks cool, but it's also kind of awkward because he's throwing himself across the city.
Yeah.
Like that reminded me just a little bit of how janky the flying system was in the old movies.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It was so good. He's all weapon, which is really cool.
Right.
What did we feel about? It was towards the end of the fights. It was in the later half of the Kong Godzilla fight in Hong Kong, where Godzilla was like down on all fours and felt very crocodile like.
I was like, he was savage. I was like,
yeah, very much.
He just wasn't holding back at all. I loved how vicious the fight was. I loved everything about that Hong Kong fight. I have no issues with.
I saw you when King Kong was trying to open his Godzilla's mouth, and he just beamed his hand.
He's
and
like,
he's like,
oh,
yeah,
ow,
damn.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that was good. Like they were both trying their classic moves, and they couldn't quite get either one to work.
Right.
But it was good. Like every time he tries to punch his mouth, he zaps him again. He's like, you motherfucker.
Oh, Evan, tell him about what you wanted the ending to be.
So at the end where it's like they're both like they destroyed Mechagodzilla, and all the human characters are like, oh, you're alive, oh, cool. And then you hear Godzilla roar, and they see both of them just like, and then King Kong throws his axe on the ground. I was hoping it's like, now for the audio listeners, I'll explain in a second. But it's like, so Tommy, you're Godzilla. It's just like,
and they just shake hands. Yeah,
Shake
Godzilla
hands,
and King Kong just shake hands.
You know what?
We did that in the theater because he was like, what if? Hear me out.
Yeah, right.
What if? Hear me out. What if at the end they shook hands and they kissed?
oh yeah, the part where they're screaming at each other. I was like,
They
kiss,
were close.
kiss.
They were very
Very
close.
Yeah, I thought a couple things that would have been cool is when Godzilla or Kong had his dislocated shoulder.
Oh my God, yeah.
I thought Godzilla would have been the one, and like Kong would have jumped up and like fought one handed, and then Godzilla would have turned and like attacked him, but it's just getting his shoulder back into place. And then I did think that at the end there, instead of like the shaking hands and having a nice little smooch at the end there, I thought they were gonna do like the King of Monsters where all the monsters bow, but they bow to each other.
Right. I actually
cool.
thought
Yeah.
that Godzilla was gonna bow there for a second.
He did
Yeah.
kind of, in a way, bow to King Kong when I think he got off of him when he finally,
Yeah.
because they were screaming at each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then King Kong's like, all right, I'm done. And then Godzilla finally gets off of him, and he kind of just like, he's like,
stay down.
That's
That
what
I
thought.
took more of a stay down.
Yeah.
But as soon as Godzilla is leaving, we get that shot of like Godzilla, and we can see Kong behind him, and it cuts back to Kong. I thought it was gonna cut back, and Godzilla turns around, and it would have been like a nod,
Yeah.
but like, no.
It was very much a less of a respect thing and more Godzilla like,
I'll let
You're
you.
cool, I
yeah,
guess.
I'll let you exist.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah,
like, he's
I'll give you a pass.
You fought well.
Yeah.
But see, going off of this though, now I'm just now thinking, he definitively though before Mechagodzilla, he beats Kong.
Yeah.
And he leaves
Oh, yeah.
as though he thinks he's won, and he didn't kill him.
Right.
And he was a rival alpha, which makes me
Mhm.
think he hasn't been out killing the other
Well,
ones because there's been no
that's-
reason.
Exactly.
that's a thought that
Just
I
a reminder.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know if this was like the direction they got, but in the early fights with Godzilla and Kong, especially on the carrier, to me it felt like Godzilla was just testing Kong to see if he would be able to help.
Or
with-
become an issue.
Not even to become an issue. It's I know that something's wrong, and I don't know if I can handle it with the Mechagodzilla stuff because I've attacked Florida, I destroyed that, and I still can tell it's out there. So maybe in my primal lizard brain, it's still cool.
That's
So he went to go find Kong and like make sure he's up to par to actually help with the fight.
I'm not opposed to that because they don't really address. They say as soon as you take Kong out of the containment unit, Godzilla will come for him. But they never really said why.
Yeah.
Kong isn't trying to be the next alpha. He's not producing an alpha frequency
Exactly.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Ghidorah was. Like the reason Godzilla and Ghidorah could keep up with each other is because they could hear each other, and
Yeah.
like that's the whole point of the orca.
Right.
But Kong isn't doing that. He was just chilling on the boat, and Godzilla was able to find him. I think it would have been cool if, for some reason, there was like a rat or a mole
Mhm.
in Monarch trying to make Godzilla more and more of a monster on purpose.
And it was more like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That would have been good if somebody from Apex did that for a reason to use
See,
Mechagodzilla.
we were talking about
we
that
were.
when we were. See, we were both wrong-ish, and I thought they were doing it on purpose.
Right, that's-
And making him, they were doing it on accident. I thought they were trying to sabotage the world. It's like, oh look, Godzilla's turn. Well, guess what? We have the perfect solution.
Right. And I
But
thought,
that they weren't. They didn't do that.
I thought they were using, like, again, with the skin, outer
Mhm.
skin, that was disguised, and they were saying, look how much of a monster he is. We can help by defeating him.
Right.
And they're using Mechagodzilla.
Well, how would they get it? Because if they already have it look like Godzilla, how would they get another one?
They just take, I don't know, they just take the
They
skin
got
off.
another one.
Yeah.
Prototypes. But yeah, so like the Godzilla just going after Kong just because he exists outside, that I found a little questionable.
You're
I
right.
don't know if I missed it. Did they explain why Godzilla would come outside of Skull Island? Did they explain why
I
Skull
imagine
Island was
if there
protected?
is a alpha frequency, the dome that Kong was in was keeping him safe.
Okay.
It
And
could have
God-
also been like Khan's heartbeat, because I remember that was like the thing they did with the
that
girl.
could be
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
the girl could hear it, and then like she could also hear Godzilla.
Yeah, she
coming.
could also hear Godzilla.
Which was
Yeah.
super
That's
cool.
true.
Yeah.
Well, not hear, but feel.
Because
you know she's dead.
Right.
But I like how, because like we mentioned back then, it wasn't more of like, I'm going to kill you to be the alpha. It was more of like, I'm going to put you in your place to know who's the alpha.
Yes.
Because when they had the ship fight, they played dead.
Mhm.
Or like, it wasn't really played dead, but it was just like, don't ignite your engines, whatever.
Yeah,
like you're
submit.
about to fight. Like it looks like you're about to fight. Just calm down. Everyone turn everything off.
Mhm.
King Kong didn't. He just kind of gave up. He kind of lay there. I don't know if he was also kind of like hinting to the humans, like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
play dead."
Was he-
'Cause I can't beat him. in
I
the water.
actually loved that attention to detail because it doesn't matter how big, buff, or tough you are. After a rough anything underwater, you're wiped.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
the fact that he was. I love that he survived. Of course, if he was gonna, did not want him to lose to the ocean. But like he swam up and he was coughing up water, and then he was beat.
He
And I
was
like,
done.
that's a really good attention to detail.
Yeah.
Because they do that with other little movies and such, like in Life of Pi, the tiger goes into the water
the
for a
Life
little
of
bit,
Pi, yeah.
and being in the water for a while, it wipes that thing out.
Yeah, that tiger was
And it's,
exhausted. It could not
I
move.
love that attention to detail.
Yeah, I watch bits and pieces.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I haven't
It's a
seen
good-
it either.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
Well, okay, I love it. It's good. That has an ape in it as well.
It does.
But her name is Orange.
Doesn't last long. Doesn't last long.
R.I.P.
Yeah, spoilers. But yeah, I think we're coming to our typical end time.
Yeah. So
Yes.
closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Movie was great. If they make another one, definitely watch it. It's going to be very hard to beat this one.
Mm-hmm.
If it ends up this being just the last bit of it, I won't be disappointed because they ended off with a great ending.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I definitely love to do this again with you guys at the podcast.
Oh,
I
hell
enjoyed
yeah.
this. It's
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
great. So yeah.
I'm gonna have a movie specific one soon.
Ooh.
He's gonna have like a D&D specific one soon.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in rolling dice.
Evan, closing thoughts.
Yes. Any closing thoughts?
I enjoyed the movie. Hopefully, in the next one they explore more space creatures
That'd be dope.
Yes.
and maybe more monkey. And yeah, this was great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Of course.
As far as I enjoyed it. It was great. You know, looking back, there's more nitpicky things, but like, loved watching it.
Mhm.
I'd watch it again.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
watch it in theaters again.
For sure, yeah.
Yes.
It's right up there in my book with King of Monsters, which I love, just because it's got all the monsters. But the Kong stuff, I think, is definitely the highlight.
yeah.
Like, they did a lot of cool Kong stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I guess the biggest takeaway is very much the incredible balance between the combat, the destruction, the badassness of it, and the personal, because there wasn't a lot of it. There wasn't a lot of the personal squabbles or anything like
Right.
that. It was all about the fights, which, if you're going to go see a Godzilla movie, you want to just see the fighting.
Right.
Let's be real.
Exactly.
If you're out there complaining about the monsters fighting, you're in the wrong theater,
Yeah.
because that was the whole point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. So, you guys, do you have any social media, anything you want to promote, anything you want to push?
Social media, TomBeat17 is my
Cool.
Instagram account. That's
And Twitter.
and Twitter. That's
All right.
that's basically everything on my.
Okay.
My YouTube is Evan J. Hopefully you guys will put a link.
Yes.
in
Yes,
we
we will
will
put a
leave
link.
all this
We'll
stuff.
put a
Got
link.
great
Yeah.
YouTube videos featuring me a lot.
Yeah. There we go.
Tommy,
I'm
that in
not in
action.
as much, but because I'm more of the creative.
He's the director.
Oh, okay.
Of
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. And then,
And that's about it.
cool. And as always, on our end, we have Andrew's Instagram and his TikTok, and YouTube channel soon.
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 I'm getting there.
Yep. And then we got Dallin's Tavern, also in the description. So thank
Yeah.
you guys for being here.
Yeah,
this
thanks
is
for having
exciting.
us.
It was awesome. I love
Eventually,
it.
we'll have a setup that isn't my grandfather's living room.
Yes, we'll have a microphone for each of us,
Yeah,
which will be
my first
exciting.
podcast.
Yeah.
Get
Cool.
you a mic, Evan.
I lost my podcast for.
Well, I'm glad it was us, Evan.
First
Thanks for
time.
having- thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah, we're still working on the closing.
Yeah. We'll try the new thing. We'll see you guys next week. I've been King Kong.
I've been Mothra.
I've been Mecha Godzilla.
I've been Destroyer.
All right, and we'll see you all. I don't know, some other time next week. We don't know the upload of this.
I don't even know where we are at this point. This is probably a couple weeks.
Bada bing, bada boom. We'll see you soon.
Hey, perfect. We're not doing that every week.